What's happening, man? Boss Golf back with another update for Dragon Ball FighterZ, man. It's been a while since I sat down and chatted with y'all about the latest video game news going around town. So I want to sit here and talk to y'all today about a huge patch coming out for Dragon Ball FighterZ. This is a lot of content inside of a patch being released all at once. Usually, at least going off of the games that I have in my repertoire and the recent games I've been playing, i.e. Overwatch, stuff like Tekken 7 and Street Fighter. Usually when game developers release patches, they're like in bits of bursts. They're not like their whole roster and their whole system all at once. So this is pretty interesting. I want to go as far as to say this is a great effort on Arc System Works part, because to my knowledge, I'm not too familiar with the recent Guilty Gear games, because I haven't played them, but to my knowledge, Guilty Gear or Arc System Works doesn't usually release patches until like the next game or like the next installment in their series. The recent Guilty Gears being Exod and Revelator, or whichever came before or after. But anyway, here on Dragon Ball FighterZ, it looks like we're not only getting new modes, but we're getting updates for almost, I believe, the entire roster of characters when it comes to this game. I'm not going to sit here and read the entire list of character roster. I will post a link in the description box down below. You can find it on animegamesonline.com. It will be the first forum post in there for today, depending on when you watch this video. But I will go over the modes and talk about some things that strike my interest and some things that I do wish were put inside this update. So as far as new features, this was something that we talked about before when the game was data mined for DLC characters and new modes that were coming in the future. We already got the Z Unions, and now we're getting the Fighters Cup. It's described here as a monthly competition where players can fight and collect points for their respective Z Unions. And this was basically the tournament that we talked about before, where if you're in a certain Z Union, say you're in Beerus' Z Union, you and your teammates in that Z Union can compete against, let's say, a Super Saiyan Goku Z Union to fight and basically be put on a I almost said roster, excuse me, be put on a leaderboard of which player has the most points, probably the most wins, things like that. It probably works similar to the regular online leaderboard, but this time you'll be posted under your respective Z Union and it'll show there, and that'll be pretty interesting to see. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, and it goes into one of the things I wanted to talk about. And then also we're getting Party Battle, which co-op fights where 3 players can join forces to defeat fearsome bosses. And this is also something that was talked about before in the data mining of players coming together. I'm not sure if it'll probably be just any players. I don't think it'll be like special to your respective Z Union, anything like that. But players can come together. There'll be like a boss, let's say Brawly or something like that, and they'll have a massive amount of health, and you'll have to go in, do co-op tag, pardon me, and you'll have to defeat that boss. Similar to how Injustice 2 has their whole union thing going on, except only in that I do believe you have to join like a clan within the Injustice Online co-op modes to come together to defeat that boss, and then your team gets the certain amount of points or certain amount of perks or something like that. So this will work similar to that if you're familiar with Injustice. If not, just think of it as one of the characters on the roster is a boss, and you'll go in co-op with 3 other players, and you'll have to face against that boss. I'm not sure. It doesn't specify in this. It says co-op, so we can only assume here. But I'm not sure if you'll be able to like go in with your own team of 3 and try and beat the boss, or if you have to do co-op. Like if co-op is an actual thing. We'll have to wait until more information on this is released, or until the mode's finally released. And by the way, all of this is being released on May 9th. That's this Wednesday coming up, and that's right around the corner. Also, some changes to the replay channel. Enable implementation implementation, excuse me, of the below gameplay adjustments, recorded data. I don't think any of this is, I think I'm going to skip over this. Like I said, you guys can read this. I just wanted to quickly go over the new features that were coming. Confirms the data mining. Most of the, looks like a lot of the stuff that was in the data mining as far as the characters and the modes are all true. So we can, with all that, we can only assume that the rest of the DLC roster is going to be to the T when it's come to that data mining as well. But also in another one of the big things other than the modes that are in this update, as I said before, are the characters. And this is going to affect how a lot of people play this game from now on. I don't know if it'll be too much of a big change, but it is going to affect some people's characters, especially like the characters that are in the high tier. Just going off of characters that I see a lot online. Goku Black, Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, excuse me, Android 16. A lot of these characters are getting nerfs, some buffs. I've seen a lot of buffs on Broly, if I can call it that. And I point him out because that's a character that I've been recently having fun playing with. Playing with Broly. Who else do I have on my team? Excuse me, Broly, Bardock, and the Trunks. And I don't see, let me see if I see Trunks. Trunks, fixing an issue with Trunks sometimes doesn't execute follow-up attacks after hitting an opponent with his shining slash. And you know what, that's interesting. And that is an interesting thing, because that was a problem with Trunks. I've noticed how in some of his moves, like I'll try and pull off a combo, and like sometimes it would allow me to do a follow-up attack after his shining slash, and then the other times the other character will bounce out of that. So that's interesting. I'm glad they fixed that issue. They fixed that on him. Let's see everybody's favorite character, Vegeta, real quick. Reduce the duration of block stun for Vegeta's Super Saiyan Vegeta's Z assist. So for those that don't know, in this game, Vegeta has one of the best assists for follow-up attacks out of all the characters in the game, because it can extend the amount of combos and extend the amount of damage that you can do to a certain character, and they reduce the duration for that. So that's going to be interesting to see how people mix that up. Another character here, just off of characters that I see the most online, Android 16. Now players will be able to recover from the ground when hit by Android 16's Dynamite Driver. I'm assuming that's his heavy ass slam dunk move, which if you've seen some high level play of this game, that is a pretty tricky move to try and not only recover from, but to try and like block the mix-ups and the cross-ups going into that move. So that'll be interesting to see how that all goes down. Also remove the invincibility to ranged attacks from Android 16's standing heavy, jumping heavy, and crouching heavy, which these are both big nerfs. If you don't know, Android 16's heavy attacks, it's almost as if it didn't matter what move you use or what character you use. If this button was pressed by a character before your character can get it input in, even almost sometimes, even if you press a button before him, if Android 16 inputs this move, you're getting hit by it. And that Android 16 is one of those touch of death characters. He can be. If you get hit by one of his attacks, you can almost guarantee yourself either 70% damage to your health, or pretty much an instant KO, depending on how good the character is, depending on if they know the mix-ups or anything like that. So Android 16 is getting some nerfs. Vegeta's getting some nerfs. Let me check Goku Black. I only seen one thing. Made an adjustment so that Goku Black's medium and heavy versions of Fierce God Kick no longer locks down even a knocked out opponent. I'm not too familiar. I almost said Vegeta Black. Holy shit. Goku Black has a various amount of moves in his move list. So I'm not too sure which one that is. I'll have to come back to that. For those that are knowledgeable about that, you have to check the link in the description and see where that lies for your character and your play style and all this other stuff. But let me see if there's any other popular character. Broly is definitely getting some buffs. I've seen some stuff with I think most of the stuff on Broly is getting buffs, and that's cool because I really like playing with Broly. And it looks like a lot of this is just bug fixes and everything. But the two most played characters out of all the characters in this are getting nerfs. I don't know. For high level played people, that probably won't affect them too much. But for people that are just starting, or people that have been playing but been trying to level up with these characters, that might pose an issue. You might have to change up your combo strategy just a tidbit. Other than that, man, also there's a lot of other issues that were fixed with characters, certain voice lines, certain animations, supers, and things like that were fixed. As I stated, you can look at the full list in the description box down below. I do believe there's also a list on event hubs, so you guys can check that out. But before I bounce off here, I definitely wanted to comment on something. Especially when it comes to these new modes and when it comes to this patch list altogether, is that one thing I didn't see in this list that I wish I did see was fixes to the online capabilities and the netcode within this game. I have a lot of fun playing this game online. Actually, a big majority of my time playing this game is spent playing online against other players. I like it. It's fun. It's challenging. I like the close ass matches, even for the rage quitting bastards. It's still fun to play. The one problem that gets in between all of that is that the netcode is fuck. The netcode is very shit. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've went in and the code says or the connection is like, oh, it's 3 and above, which is you usually have it set to. And you get into a match and your frame drops, your frame delays go from 2 to 14, and it lasts for the whole fucking battle. That's a problem because it wouldn't be an issue if it was only like a few matches. If you go in for a day, let's say in a day, I do 20 matches, 20 best 3 out of 5s, and out of those 20, almost 12 of those matches are like shit matches. And I know my internet connection is solid. It may not be. Actually, I think I can actually say for the connection that we have, we were supposed to have like the fastest service for our connection. I'm pretty sure I have to double check that, but I know my connection's like solid. It's good. It's an issue when I go in and out of 20 of those best 3 out of 5s, 12 of those motherfucking matches are shit. That shouldn't be an issue. Not even just playing against other people. We're talking about we're getting things like FighterZ Cup. We're getting things like the co-op. There's already a mode on there where where it's 3v3. Then you literally have 6 people facing off against other people. You can go in. I do believe you can go in the ring matches, and you can have the 3v3 6 people. Even in those, I only played the co-op, the 3v3, the 6 people all facing against each other. I've only done a co-op like 2 or 3 times, and I never played it again because that's how trash the connection is. All it takes on those modes is for one person's connection to be ass, and it can even be a person on your team for their connection to be ass, and then that ruins the experience for everybody because then you're like stuck with a crappy connection. If you're doing 3v3 and one person on your team has a crappy connection, that can ruin it for your team. I can only imagine what it would be like in co-op if you're trying to fight against a boss and you're trying to do all this. So this is what I was talking about earlier. I wanted to talk about like the FighterZ Cup and the party battles. Is I hope later on down the line they see how important the connection is for games like this, especially if you're trying to implement something like co-op or party battle. It just doesn't make sense. Now, as I said before, this is especially compared to a lot of fighting game developers and based on from what I heard and what my knowledge is on Arc System Works track record when it comes to updating patches before, this is a great improvement. This is a real good improvement. This is a lot for just like I think I could say like its second patch since the release of this game in February. So this is really good. But one of the most important things that's not in here that I don't see that I know a lot of people would appreciate is fixing the netcode. The netcode in this game is a problem. And if you guys want these fighter cups, these co-op battles, the co-op battle that's already in the game that I barely see anybody even playing in my own like my own area, y'all want these things to prosper and move forward, y'all gonna have to do something about the netcode. The netcode is an issue. It's a problem for everybody. It's not just me. It's a lot of people out there in the community that will argue netcode on Dragon Ball FighterZ is probably one of the worst out there. And not just, once again, not just for playing against other people. The reason I bring this up is because these party battles and these co-ops, that's gonna be an issue playing with other people. If not everybody has a 3-bar connection and one person has a 2-bar or low connection, or one person just has a faulty connection where your frames are dropping up to 16 frames, it's going to be a problem for the whole team. That's going to be a problem for everybody playing and ruining that experience. So with this list, that would be the only problem that I see. And hopefully down the line that like they actually see that. I don't know if the fans or the players of this game have to like send them lists. I don't think that's the issue. I mean, obviously they pay enough attention to this game to where they know which characters need to be nerfed and buffed, especially if they buff 2 of the biggest characters on top of the roster. They didn't even nerf Goku Black. They just to an extent. Once again, I don't know all of this move, but they nerfed 2 of the best characters on this roster, so they pay enough attention to know, hey, these 2 characters are pretty goddamn good. We should probably even the playing field out on them. So if they can do that, something can be done about the netcode. It's been I have the nerve to even say it's been worse than since when the beta came out. And that's an issue. Your connection shouldn't feel like it was better during the beta days than now. And I understand, like, okay, now the entire world is playing, and you have more people coming in playing this game from all different types of regions. But from my knowledge and from what I know, especially since the last patch and the last update, they fixed the matchmaking and the net play to where you only face people within your same region. I've never since the matches coming out, it's been hard for me to get somebody in a different region than what I am in. And if I have, the netcode has been pretty shoddy. I do believe I've played, I think the only person I played one person that frequents on this channel, that's a sub on this channel. We played some matches, and I do believe here when I've played with him, we haven't, like, some of the matches have been cool, they've been close, but I don't know where he is in his region, but I do know the connection has been very it's been awkward in some areas, but overall it's been alright. Overall, I'm just saying, like, when you release something like this, you definitely have to you gotta focus on the net play, or to, like, none of this is gonna matter except for the tournament players. That's how I see it now. It's like the co-op and stuff, all this is great, all these issues and fixes are great, but if you're somebody that only plays this game online and you're not a tournament player, or you don't frequent tournaments, or you don't do locals or nationals or anything like that, none of this is gonna matter to you. So I think that's a problem, and I think that's something that should be worked on if you want this game to succeed even longer, because regardless of all the bullshit that's in the game, it still is a good game. It's a damn good fighting game for its time. So that's all I have for this video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment box down below. Like I said, you guys can check this out for yourselves in the description box down below on animegamesonline.com. Has a full list of all the characters who are getting nerfs and buffs, has brief descriptions on the new modes that are getting ready to come out, all the fixes for the game in general for itself, and things like that y'all can check out. I'm out of this bitch. Y'all already know what to do, man. Make sure y'all keep them schlongs long, them clips tight. I will see all you silly hoes on the flip one. Peace.